read something this morning. I wasn't going to do this today, but I read something this morning that was called The Loss of Empathy in Nursing Education. In fact, it called empathy an enigma. And I thought, oh God, how far from the truth are we getting? So I had to share this with you because I spent so much time railing at the system. And I've got to help all of us reclaim some of the power that we have as individuals to help our patients heal. Empathy isn't really an enigma. And the reason for lack of it or loss of it isn't really an enigma. Well, not to me anyway. Maybe measuring it would be, because it's hard to measure things like love, energy, empathy. But the fact of the matter is that this study was done on a limited amount of nursing students. And these kids come into school wanting to learn how to help people. That's why you go into the helping profession. You go in to be a doctor or a nurse, generally speaking, because you like to help people. Then you get in there, and what happens in the healthcare system today is that they teach you set up boundaries so you don't burn out, learn the science so that you know what to do. Then they tell you how much understaffing there is, how much work you have to do, and how few people are going to make it. So right away, they have you scared to death that if you're not good enough, you'll be thrown out. You're good enough to be a healer. If you have the intention of healing and you learn some of the science, you're good enough. The fact is, for corporations, the more work they can squeeze out of you, the better it is. One of the things that helps healing the most is the human connection, the intention to help heal the person you're taking care of. The nurturing, the caretaking, everything that our society nowadays is devaluing. You know, if somebody talks to you about, is it better to have a child who you love and care for, or is it better to have a child who grows up in a well-kept, sterile orphanage? Which would you choose? Which would make a healthier human being? Most of us would know that a child living with people who loved it in a family would wind up being in less suffering, less pain, and with more potential. It's the same thing with sick people. Sick people, old people, vulnerable people, disabled people. What they need is to know they're not alone, because when they're alone, they feel afraid. A robot isn't going to make them feel less afraid. A human being who touches them, the healing power of touch, the connection, one of us to another. Energy can be transferred. You going in and looking someone in the eye as though you care about them, touching their cheek, touching their hands, that will make the difference. You can't have empathy for another if you're afraid of that other. So you have to clearly spend some time giving yourself some good analysis of the things that frighten you, not denying them, honestly looking at them. There's the journal business again that I tell you to keep. But beside that, you have to have compassion for yourself, because most of us go through life projecting on other people. If we don't feel compassion for ourselves, we can't feel empathy for another human being. It's not possible. We have to feel compassion for ourselves first. That means don't go 90 to 100% because they're teaching you to compete with each other so hard. Do a good job and then spend some time with the patients. If all of us did that, corporations would have to rethink things. We have to restructure nursing, but in the meantime, Every person you smile and say, hi, good morning, how are you? Every person you touch gets a little bit better because you're there caring. Every person that you are short with, annoyed with, and I'm not saying these are unforgivable things. They're very forgivable under the circumstances. They're just not healing. So if you try to center yourself before you go into the hospital or to a home or to take care of a school, doctor's office, wherever, and you say to help and to heal as much as I can all day, and that's your intention, focused when you go in. If you go in and treat these people as though they were your family, forget the walls. The walls are for you. And if you need to go home and cry, there are some things in life worth crying about. The effectiveness of a boundary is only so that you don't get so devastated that you can't do what's best for your patients. But the more walls you put up, the more you separate yourself from any other, whether it's the patients or your colleagues or whatever, the whole system that we teach now is for high productivity, for the bottom line, not for healing. To take back some of your power, you need to be able to use yourself, to use your intention, your energy, your, might I even say, love for another human being. That's the thing that heals people. And it's the thing that will keep you from burning out. It will be the thing that feeds your soul when everything else is driving you crazy. You can go a little bit slower and be a little bit more healing. If a paper doesn't get filled out, and if all of us do it together, corporations are going to have to reevaluate how much staff they need on the floor. It makes no sense to teach us anatomy, physiology, psychology, sociology, anthropology, and everything that has to do with human nature, and then sit at a desk to protect the liability of the corporations. We should be able to have some time to spend with our patients. That's what makes us healers. That's what makes us want to be nurses. That's what makes us, that feminine aspect of us is the thing that's creative and healing. We have to re-own that feminine aspect of us, not just walk into that male aspect that's hierarchical. We have to remember who we are, our endurance, our creativity. Remember, we're the ones, most of us who are women, if we choose, can have children. We know we're directly connected to another. The men who have come in to nursing now are helping us take it into the outside world, move it forward. For the feminine aspect and for us as women to follow a male model is not necessarily healing. We can all use our feminine aspect to help heal and nurture. And that's what we should own. That's what we should use. And that's what we should insist on as part of the education in nursing. Empathy, we're losing empathy because one of the suggestions was to help fix the problem, let some of the new nurses practice on standard patients and role play. How can one role play with a standard patient? Why wouldn't one just help take care of a patient, another person, someone who could one day be us? Let's keep the things about us that make us love service, because, and I'm not saying servitude, I'm saying service, because service is the thing that will in the end serve us. And it is a valuable quality to have. Because it cuts down on productivity a little bit, no, there's honor in it. And we have to remember to own that power and that honor, because that's the thing that is going to help us heal.